Hi, this is Mike Henry from Follower of One, and I'm talking about God Space by Doug Pollock. We're talking about Chapter 2, Spiritual Conversation Killers. What things do you do that kill spiritual conversations? You may not be aware of the things that you do to kill spiritual conversations. I know that I was surprised by a couple of these things the first time I read the chapter. So he lists 10 things. The first one that he lists is one that is a problem for me. I tend not to believe that people want to have spiritual conversations. Deep down inside, God has made all of us curious, and He's created an interest and a concern about eternity. He's put eternity in our hearts. And when we believe that people want to have spiritual conversations, we become more open to the idea. Our talk starts to line up with what we believe because we can't hide an opinion in our heart. It will leak out in our words. And so he cautions that we need to accept the idea and ask God to give us constant reminders that the people around us are looking for opportunities to learn more about spiritual conversations, but there are a lot of things they don't want to go through to have those conversations. A second thing that he talks about is a spiritual conversation killer is pre-conversation history. And his first example in that story was about someone who had a bad experience with another Christian in dialogue. And that's one of the ways that pre-conversation history can impact our ability to have spiritual conversations. He pointed out how when this person talked about how another one person, her sister, had had a really negative conversation with her about spiritual things, and the author apologized. In fact, he encouraged this person to tell him what she would like him to say to her sister about how she made her feel. So when you talk to someone who has had bad conversation experiences with other Christians, ask them what would you like me to say to them if I ran into them on the street? What would you like me to tell them about how you felt when you had that conversation with them? Because it will get them talking. Don't judge and don't criticize and don't try and correct anybody else's opinions or thoughts. Just let them tell you what they think about the issue. Another pre-conversation killer, though, is my own work experience with my own coworkers. If I haven't been careful to do a good job, if I haven't been careful to look out for the people around me, if I haven't been interested in the lives of the people around me, then they may see me as a rotten example of someone to have spiritual conversations with. And so I may need to even ask God to forgive me and figure out ways to ask others to allow me to make amends for the things that I've done wrong. I need to correct my behavior and try and come up with ways to change things so that I'm less judgmental, I'm less controlling, or I'm less difficult to talk to, or I use fewer Christianese terms. The third spiritual conversation killer I want to talk about in this video is conversation killer number 7, control. This is another area where it's a weakness of mine. I sometimes believe that if I have my argument all laid out just right, and if I can present all that to you without being interrupted, you'll have to agree with me. In the end, what I need to do is I need to remember that Jesus is in control. The Holy Spirit will give me the words, as Jesus told us in Matthew 10. The Holy Spirit will guide me. That guiding, that requires me to trust Jesus and trust the Holy Spirit to give me the words to say and the heart to have. And this is less about what I say and more about what I hear and how I react to it. I want to be warm and receiving to anything my friends say, because in the end, I want them to enjoy having conversations with me. The more enjoyment they have and the more trust they have, the more likely we will have conversations that lead to spiritual things later. Now, there's one exercise that he gives us at the end of the chapter. He calls a faith experiment. And he says, ask the people you know who don't follow Jesus yet. Ask them how they feel or what they experience when someone else tries to engineer a conversation to spiritual things. Just ask them for their feedback. Again, don't correct or criticize. Just look for ways to listen to what they're saying and then use that as an opportunity to learn for yourself. Please check out the entire chapter. Please also be praying for our workplace mission trip and plan to go on the workplace mission trip. You can join the group in the community, Follower of One community, for the workplace mission trip and be ready to go in just a couple of weeks. We're going to go on this mission trip after chapter 4. But this is step 1 is practicing going through the book and making sure that we're not doing things to kill spiritual conversations. This is Mike Henry from Follower of One. I'm grateful that you're taking part in this, and I look forward to what God's going to do in and through you as you take part in the workplace mission trip. Thank you very much.